Learn how to create this vintage style lettering piece using the Ultimate Lettering Toolbox Vintage Set. Hi, I'm Nico Ng, and I'll be guiding you through the process, sharing the brushes used in each step. You can opt to view the entire video for an overview or follow along pausing when you needed to create with me. To begin, let's set up a new canvas. I'm using the screen size for this particular artwork. Build your ornamental swirl border by stamping ornament dividers and ornament crowns on separate layers and bring them together nicely. Hide your frame and start your lettering by stamping in Vintage Composition 5 on a new layer. I stamped a curved banner below, but I changed my mind about it later. Type in the word inspire in Times New Roman, then distort it to fit it into the layout shape. We'll use this as guide for spacing and styling our letters. Next, pick a vintage serif stamp to design the base of the letter I, and a letter stamp edge to design the edges of your letters. Stamp them in on a new layer and adjust them to position them to the letters properly. Bring the opacity of your guide layers down and draw your serif letters in a new layer using the Light Sketcher brush. Next, use the round nib to brush to thicken the edges and leave a gap in the middle of the stems for us to add a pattern inside later. Use the fill pattern horizontals to add a nice pattern inside the word inspire. Then use the pointed nib brush to add a line shadow to the lower right of the word. If you're not sure how to position the line shadow correctly, you can use the Shadow Assist brush to draw along the edge of the letters, and it will draw the line shadow at a distance where you're drawing. Type the word with in Times New Roman, resize and distort it to the shape of the layout guide. Then stamp in an angled banner and position it correctly to the guide. Add a banner stamp to the angled banner. I experimented with some designs and I picked the design number 9 in the end. Then dot the space in the banner using the round nib, or use the dot pattern liner brush if you have the ink pack of the Ultimate Lettering Toolkit ink pack. Use the heavy graphite brush to draw the word with, and use the pointed nib to draw a white, thick, thin inline. Select the layout guide for the word inspire, duplicate it, and rotate it 180 degrees to use as layout guide for the last 2 words. Type in the words your art using Times New Roman, resize and distort it to fit it inside the layout guide nicely. Use the Light Sketcher brush to draw the words in serif. Add a nice inline design to the words by drawing a thick, thin inline using the pointed nib brush. Then use the inline stamp star to add a star to the center of the inline. Then add a line shadow to the words similar to the word inspire. Bring back the ornament frame you designed earlier and recolor your vintage lettering. If you want to fill some of the white spaces with more swirls, you can use the ornament divider stamps as guide and use the heavy graphite brush to trace them with weights for varying stroke thickness. I changed my frame design to fit the final lettering more. To do that, stamp in other ornament dividers or crowns to change the background frame design. Once you're happy with it, trace over the swirls using heavy graphite brush with varying weights to give it a more interesting look. Experiment with different background designs for this. I ended up with the heavy crumple texture for my background. Try different decorations for your lettering. I decided on using the inline stamp sparkles to add different sparkles to the lettering piece. Lastly, you can finish this piece with a vintage paper stamp to give it a natural aged effect. And we are done. Check out the other videos in this Ultimate Lettering Toolbox series and learn how to draw ink, chalk, retro sign, graffiti, and watercoloring lettering artworks. See you in the next video.